Hello, 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 and welcome in to Beyond the Den, brought to you by Bear Claw Media and presented by Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue in Greeley, Colorado, featuring specialty all-beef hot dogs and savory sides, plus self-pour beer wall. Perfect for a family outing or a night out with friends. Stop by and hashtag Beat the Craving today. I am Chris Bolin, and I am joined, as always, by Ben Schleiger. Ben, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. This was a interesting week of Big Sky football and across the FCS. RIP my eventual FCS vote because our darling, our Cinderella, our Presbyterian was smoked by Dayton. So Dayton might be receiving a vote. We'll see. We'll see where they end up in the 20 to 35 range. But yeah, that kind of sucked. But Big Sky football didn't suck. Bears were interesting against the backup quarterback, and the rest of the slate was pretty decent across the board. So we have that to work with. Yeah, I think we already kind of recapped UC Davis UNC, so check that out on Bear With Us. Proud of the Bears, but gosh, so many could have beens.
There was a couple could have beens in probably what I would call the Big Sky game of the week last week as well. At least the one that garnered the most hype. Thank you, Dr. Luke Wood, as the Montana Pandas headed into Sac State and beat the Hornets 49-35. A fun game, but ultimately a convincing win by Montana. They came in, they showed that they were the better team. As much as I hate them, they did what they needed to do. This was nice because it was a Friday standalone, not standalone, but alone from all the other conference games. I wasn't at a UNC game, so I was able to watch a good chunk of it. But what were your thoughts on this one, Ben?
Personally, I hate games being on Friday nights because I feel like it takes away from the kiddos, who are trying to get to playing on Saturdays and whatnot. But as a very busy dad, like worker bee, it was nice. It was nice to have like an 8 p.m. like kiddo went to bed about like 10 minutes ago. Flip this on. I'm gonna be in the recliner. If I fall asleep because Montana's winning by too much, which they did, it's all good. And I missed the last 7 minutes of the game, but no, it was a great game. Honestly, sadly, it gave me more respect for Sac State. I think they played very neck and neck. They had an unfortunate holding penalty on a kick return for a touchdown, which I don't think was there. I'm unfortunately going to side with them. I don't think it was enough. I think they got hosed on that one, and I think that was the start of the end. I think that taking away that 28-21 would have been lead really just shot their chances in the face. I don't want to put it down to one play, but I am. It nerfed it. That just kind of sucked the life out of the stadium. It is what it is, but like at the end of the day, like they were trading punches back and forth. Really, it came down to Sacramento State played well, but Montana played well with limited mistakes. I threw a throwaway touchdown on a hurry up, all tempo, 3-play drive, whatever. That's a really just to write it off on the taxes. Who cares? Not even going to get excited about that deduction. But all in all, I think both teams played well. It's just Montana didn't make mistakes. Montana didn't have turnovers. They didn't make stupid choices. Just all in all, they did everything they needed to, and Sac, ended up 2 touchdowns short because of that.
I think you summed it up pretty well, to be honest. One thing I did want to point out, Montana made Sac State throw the ball, and Cardell Williams answered 25 of 32, 332 yards. Just the one touchdown, one interception. But, after our game against them last week, a lot of fans were clamoring, like, why the hell won't we throw the ball? And I think we were like, anytime they threw the ball, we were like, oh, thank God, they're not running it. So I think it was a bit of Sac State wasn't paying attention to how we had done throughout the season. Understandably, like the Sac State fans hadn't, the coaches were. But then they had a sick punt in the first half that did not, or a sick fake punt in the first half that was not converted. But I think they motioned the one of the wide guys out, where motioned him in. He took the snap and then threw it back to the punter, who was wide open. But it's a receiver throwing to a punter, so it just didn't. It didn't quite work out. He caught it, but
Yeah,
then I
a
think
little
he lost his
underthrown, and the
balance.
punter got
Yeah,
scared and he stumbled. Yeah, it was tough. It was a good idea. It just didn't pan out.
I think you're right though. I was higher. Fucking surprise, surprise. Chris liked Sac State. Um, so I've been higher on Sac State all year than you. So I wasn't super surprised. They were a 7.5 point underdog at the beginning of Friday, and I was like, let me readdress that later tonight, and it was down to 6 by the time I actually looked at it. Wouldn't have mattered, but I ended up taking the money line instead. So that failed, but I think there was some respect for Sac State out there, and I think they showed why. But I also, on the contrary, think Montana showed why they're a top 5 team and why they're respected every year. And Bobby Hauck is doing the thing he does where they start off and they make stupid mistakes and then they play kind of like shit. And then all of a sudden you look up in November and they're really good. And I still don't think they're like to the really good point, but they're trending in that direction, led by a yacht doing his thing. So I have to give credit where credit's due. So shout out to Montana.
Yeah, I mean, this is apropos justice for you, Chris. Is you keep on hating on the Grizzlies, and they do literally everything right, and you still say, it was okay, it was all
You,
right,
you
like it
make
wasn't the best, but like,
you make a great point where I'm going to look up and the title game's going to be Montana against North Dakota State. And I'm still going to be like, Montana's going to be undefeated, beat Montana State. And I'm still going to be like, well, I don't know. And then they're going to lose by 2 touchdowns in the title game. And I'm going to claim vindication, even though everybody would lose by at least 2 touchdowns to NDSU in the title game.
right? Yeah, two big stats getters on one on each side. Ernest Campbell, he really kind of came out of nowhere. Just like a tiny little dude, just 5'9", 145, but he was getting after it. 9 catches for 206 yards and a touchdown. He was really doing everything he could to help supplement Sacramento State, since Rodney Hammond was pretty much kept in check all night, except for the bullshit holding call and the punt return or kick return that he got. Um, I think stolen away from him personally, but on the other side of the ball, I feel like Michael Wortham. Also, shout out to all of the Big Sky players that transferred to Montana. Like it's just this like we hate everybody else in the conference club. Like just come join Montana. Like it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, this guy's from Eastern. There's another guy from Davis, and it was hilarious how many like players they were listing. Like, oh yeah, he transferred in the conference. It's like you never do that, but at Montana, you do. Getting back on track, Michael Wortham, 7 carries for 89 yards, leading rusher for the night, and 2 touchdowns. And he also was the leading receiver with 5 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. I think he's making a pretty solid case for Player of the Year in the Big Sky Conference. I think still, like, you need to look at the stats leaders like Carver Cheeks. He's doing a good job. Unfortunately, Ayat is also doing a good job at quarterback. As much as you don't want to respect it, he is getting better throughout the season. That interception was kind of just a miscue. I think if they weren't doing fast tempo on that drive where it was like no huddle, I don't think that interception happens. 196 is a bit disappointing, but Ayat is technically still the league leader in passing yards. I think he's eclipsed 2,000, so he will be looking pretty stout going into the rest of the season, as he has 2,238 yards. Our boy Gibson is a little bit behind him, but yeah, unfortunately, like as much as I didn't believe in Ayat at the beginning of the season, I'm starting to think that he's improved and actually taking the criticisms and the improvements that coaches want him to make.
All right, Eastern Washington 23, Weber State 20. This is one where we both picked Weber State. I'm still not Eastern Washington's the most fraudulent 3-1 in conference play team I could possibly think of. I guess I'm just a hater. Turns out 2 years of watching Big Sky football just turned me into a hater for everybody, including UNC. What were your takeaways from this one?
This one I was just kind of Gamecast watching a little bit, but I'm not surprised that it was the shit bowl that we thought it was. Dijon Jennings, gosh, like poor Weber's going through players like a meat grinder. Poor guy had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 17 for 27 for 140. Like just across the board, just not really anything, anything to record down. Like even Jalen Record, like 5 for 46, a down game for him. Davian Godley, like trying his best at 8 for 95, but also unless he's hurt, why are you not giving him the ball more? You gave Chauncey Sylvester 10 carries for 23 yards. Granted, he got a touchdown, but you won't invest in Davian Godley, who I think might be, I think he's top 5 on the rushing stats for the Big Sky. But then again, you have Nate Bell and you have Jared Taylor. Like, literally 2 quarterbacks are the rushing leaders for Eastern Washington. Like, literally, they had 29 carries, Chris. 29 carries for 43 yards. What the hell is that? And then you have...
That's sacks, too. I bet that's taking sacks into account fairly heavily.
I mean, even so, like, you give a running... Let's see, are these guys both running back? Yeah, they're both running backs. You give running backs, true running backs, 8 carries. You give quarterbacks or pseudo quarterbacks 29 carries. This is the shit bowl. If I want to go back and rewatch something awful and disgusting, I'll rewatch this.
All right, from the most fraudulent 3-1 team to the most bona fide 0-8, 0-4 team in the conference. Portland State gets their shit knocked in by Idaho, 45-6. Really, what else can you say about this one? Joshua Wood came back. That sucks for Portland State. Good for Idaho. Not sure it really mattered in the end result. Portland State feels like worse than... I don't want to say that. Portland State feels like we were the last 2 years. I was going to say they feel worse. I don't know that that's true. Worse?
I feel like it's worse. Like, Idaho, like, we push their shit in, but, like, looking at this, like, it's just, what do you take from the offense? What do you take from that says we can build on that? Like, they literally are switching out guys. Like, they don't even have their little Hawaii guy, their little fake Keone. He had to split almost the exact reps with Tyrese Smith. And I'm just like, I don't know how much worse it gets. Like, you're putting a true freshman out there. Granted, like, his size is awesome at 6'2", 225. But, like, I don't know how much worse it gets for Sac State or Portland State. Like, at
I
what
don't think
point
it can get much
do you
worse.
just throw in the towel? Like, I feel like it's worse personally. Obviously, like, we had a worse quarterback situation where we're not even breaking 100 yards in some games. But yeah, Portland State, it's abysmal. You may as well put Waste Management on the logo instead of BS.
All right, so then we have... It was Northern Arizona 31, Idaho State 18. This was a weird one because in the little sports book, I think Idaho State was actually favored. So NAU just getting absolutely no love, as will be indicated by the line of the game next week. What are your takeaways from this one? I guess I should say Northern Arizona wins 31-18 and moves to 5-3 on the season. So still, I think just 2-2 in Big Sky, but a good, solid, very, very likely playoff team.
I mean, this looks like the Idaho State team that we played. Just a touchdown less from what they had against us. Jordan Cook, vaguely accurate, threw for an average amount of yards and had a touchdown and an interception. Pretty much the most average Idaho State game that you could see. Dason Brooks was a bit of a problem, so I'm glad that he's not just a problem against us. 11 carries for 108 and a touchdown. But honestly, like, one of the more impressive things is if you look at Northern Arizona, you look at their receiving column. Like there was 24 receptions, but it was spread out over 10 people. It was spread out over 10 people. And then you look at the rushing column. They had 45 carries. Like they did an insane amount of offense over here. And even that, the rushing was spread over the course of 7 different guys. Like Northern Arizona is getting everybody on the field. That it almost looks like their offense almost looks like our defense when Preston Hadley does those giant line changes, and it's like, oh my god, there's like our whole front seven's coming out. What the hell are we doing? But like, thankfully everybody's confident enough, and like it's mixed up enough that it's really 1A and 1B rather than like first team and third team. But really, like Northern Arizona's offense is dangerous in the sense of you can give was it 30 no 42 carries, and that's split among 4 different backs and pretty much evenly 8, 10, 10, and 13. Like the fact that they can just spread it out and have a vague amount of success across all of those with 3 of them being above that golden 4-point average for rushing. I think that's the thing that worries the most for me when we play them is they have so many people to try to game plan for.
Then Montana State 34, Cal Poly 17. This one I think just kind of shows Cal Poly a much better team this year, and it's kind of a shame that both UNC and Cal Poly. I think you said it either on the Bear With Us or off camera. I wish those two teams played each other. I wish we played Cal Poly. I also, if Cal Poly played like Weber, Eastern Washington, and Portland, they could be 4-0 or 3-0 in conference. But it's just scheduling makes such a big difference. But Montana State ultimately winning comfortably, but probably not as comfortably as a lot of fans would have wanted them to.
Yeah, Montana State, the one thing that gives me a little pause for next week is they are not a first half team. I mean, this ended with a 13-3 halftime score. Like that's weird. Like that definitely shows Cal Poly they have some mustard to them. They're not just a bargain brand. They might be a little bit of that like average brand Dijon mustard on the middle shelf rather than getting stuck on the bottom shelf where only kids are going to pick you up. But really, like Cal Poly across the board, sure they got some garbage points in the fourth quarter that made this 27-3 deficit look a lot better. But at the same time, like they're decent. Like Bo Kelly, I feel like he's doing an okay job for him across the board. It's just the two things that puzzle me about Montana State is how are you not getting a better first half deficit on other Big Sky teams and just in general, just not being a good first half team. And Julius Davis, like shout out to him. Like he's definitely having a great senior year and whatnot. But like Adam Jones, just kind of been muted, just kind of not been himself. I know he's only a sophomore and we expect so much out of him, but really like just hasn't had any big breakout games. Now I don't know if he's like been dealing with some injuries or whatnot, but like it's just not a wow you type Montana State team. It's a death grind you. Just like they're the mortar on the pestle and everybody else is the peppercorns in the bowl.
Which I think that's how Montana State is, like at least under Brent Vegan, has been built. And then touchdown Tommy Malott came along, and all of a sudden they were just like explosive in a way that when you have playmakers, you just naturally kind of are. So while I agree they're not like they are just like a grind you down to death team, I think that still scares me, and I think they're pretty okay with that. But let's move forward to next week. We have another Friday night in the Big Sky. We have Idaho heading to NAU in a game that surely people thought Idaho was going to be a little more impressive this season when they scheduled that bad boy. But our pals over at the FCS Sportsbook still think this one's going to be close as they have it as a pick'em, which is crazy at Northern Arizona. with how Idaho has played this season. But Joshua Wood back, they got a little momentum coming in after that after the Portland State win. So I think we're going to agree pretty easily on this one, Ben. But what are you thinking?
It's literally a pick 'em.
Well, it says it has the spread at 0.5, but the projected scores are both 21. So I don't know which team they're favoring by 0.5. So I edit it to a pick 'em. But a 0.5 spread is a pick
If
'em
they
anyway.
favor Idaho, somebody needs shot in the face.
Yeah, in
That
in
is
the Sky
heinous.
Dome, it's
That's.
crazy.
I
But
mean,
hey, Ben, we got to
we
take
saw
the
it
free
with
wins
the
though.
Idaho State being favored last week. I'm gonna have to go Northern Arizona, and I'll even give them 7.5 points. Like Idaho looks awful right now. Like, sure, you pistol whip the shit out of Portland State, but anybody who doesn't should be beat with a bat.
100%, Ben. I'm with you. I'm not giving them 7.5. I'm taking the pick 'em because I'm a greedy bastard. But let's move forward to Montana State heading to UNC. We talked about this one a little bit on the bear with us, so we don't have to get too in depth. But UNC, a 25.5 point underdog, which feels a little disrespectful. I get it because I'm sure it's still taken last year into account fairly heavily, like until those get completely cycled out. But I'm gonna pick the Bears. 25.5 is just too much for this team that seems to be in every game.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that either. 25.5. Like, I mean, I know we played UC Davis with down their special quarterback and all that jazz, but like we have not lost a game. I was gonna say UC Davis has been our worst loss, right? Like,
Yeah,
because
by 3 points because it
CSU
was
is by
Idaho
4,
State by 8.
7, 8. Yep. Okay, so our worst loss was by 11 points. That's absolutely bonkers considering like where we were last season. So for this to be our worst one, it makes sense opponent wise. It doesn't make sense for the season. Um, all all doors point to 25.5 is correct if you're outside of the Bear fan base. If you're inside of it and like I'm gonna take my glasses off, even like I don't have my blinders on, I'm gonna pick like that we cover the spread. Like, not being a homer, it's just nothing about this team has showed that they're gonna get blown out anymore. Now this is the perfect week for it, but I the way that Montana State has been so weird, so flaky, so like Mercyhurst, disgusting. The first half against Cal Poly, disgusting. Like this seems like if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot early, like probably a loss, but not by a million.
Yeah, I don't think you have to add all those qualifiers. I think anybody who's been paying attention, I think the sharp money would be on UNC. And quite frankly, I think the actual line's going to be closer to 18 or 19, which would give me some pause and actually make me think about it a little more. But I'm right
Yeah,
there with you.
that would be
At
some
20,
back and forth. I'd be like 21. Yeah, that's kind of
sure.
my breaking point is 21.
Okay, let's go to Montana at Weber State, and Montana is a 21-point favorite. My prediction here is that Montana is going to be up by like 2 at halftime and then win by 24. Some dumb bullshit like that where we're like, what's wrong with Montana? And then all of a sudden we look up and they won 35-11. That's my guess. So I'm going to take Montana in the.
Yeah, I think Montana could kind of score and win by whatever they want to. So it's 100% up to them what kind of day they want to have.
Are you going to take the Grizz then with the 21?
Yeah.
Okay. Then Sac State.
I would expect this to get ugly quick.
Sac State heading to Eastern Washington, and Sac State is a 5.5 point favorite. And this would be my lock of the week, Ben. If this is the line that comes out, I will bet my fucking month's rent on Sac State to win by more than 5.5 points. Obviously, I won't really do that, but I feel very confident that this Eastern Washington team is fraudulent. Oh, so fraudulent.
All right, Chris. Here's your next 2 tattoos. This one, UNC. This one, a Sac State Hornet.
Honestly,
I agree with you,
shit.
but I'm not betting the rent or nor the mortgage, nor the car, nor anything. I feel like this could be a weird one, but I'm not gonna say Eastern wins. I'm just gonna say Eastern gives Sacramento State weird fits that makes it a close game at half. Yeah, I'd still say Sac is comfortable at 5. I could see this being a weird barn burner where it's just weird, lanky, athletic guys versus athletic guys, since apparently Eastern doesn't respect nor care about their running backs. It's just going to be athlete versus athlete.
All right, so Idaho State, the frisky Bengal Kitties, heading into UC Davis, coming off of that win here at Nottingham. And the Aggies are 12 and a half point favorites, Ben. This line feels right to me. So I'm gonna make you go first.
12 and a half for the Aggies. It does feel about right. It's like I could see this being a 13 or 14 point win, where it's like Idaho State, like they have playmakers like Michael Sulikov, like Davian Brooks, like even Jordan Cook. Like when he's not being a dodo bird and like actually throws an accurate pass, he's pretty talented. So I'm gonna take Davis, but I don't feel good about
That's the exact boat I'm in. I think this game's going to be closer than 14, but I think Davis is going to end up winning by 2 touchdowns. It's going to be one where it feels competitive throughout, but then if you just look at the box score, you're like, oh, like UC Davis handled business. So I'm right there with you on that one as well. Got a couple of Davis picks. And then that takes us to Portland State at Cal Poly, who Cal Poly probably the most they've been favored by in a D1 versus D1 game in about 5 seasons at least. 18 and a half point favorites.
it. Yeah, I'm still rocking Cal Poly. Like 18 and a half is a lot for anybody. But if anybody deserves to be down by that much, it's 100% Portland State. Like, show me some fight. Show me that you actually give a shit about ball. Yeah, it's rough. It's kind of like ours, like being 25. It's like, like sure, it's a top 5 team in the country, but like, that seems a little rude. I'm gonna say the line is rude, but it's accurate.
I'm also taking Portland State. I think that I don't think you could disrespect Portland State too much in a line this year, which is saying something. But I feel pretty confident that Cal Poly will actually just go ahead and take care of business here, which brings us to our game of the week here, which brings us down to Texas in the UAC, where I don't want to. They've been 3, but people been doubting Tarleton, so they could be anywhere from like 3 to 5 probably in the polls that will come out tomorrow, but will have already come out by the time you all listen to this. They are 12 and a half point favorites heading into Abilene to play Abilene Christian. This line feels right, but I think Abilene is frisky. They just seem like there could be like a game where it just kind of the things break in their favor. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we chose this one not necessarily because it's the highest ranked. You could go with North Dakota, South Dakota. I think we both feel confident North Dakota's going to walk away with that one by a couple scores. North Dakota State, Youngstown. I'm pretty sure we're both going to agree that's going to be a multiple score favor to the Bison. Looking at this one, it's one of those frisky ones where Abilene's been frisky. Like they have good wins on their record. They beat SF Austin. They beat Austin P. They beat West Georgia, who's that's kind of like a little bit of an asterisk because they're an up and coming team. But they also have like bad losses. Like they got obliterated by Incarnate Word. They lost to Southern Utah, which probably is the friskiest 2-5 team in the entire nation. And I know
A
that's
hundred
a
percent.
silly
No, I'm with
phrase,
you, Ben.
but like Southern Utah has
100% with
legitimately
you.
been competitive in so many interesting matchups. So this one's kind of like our prove it game of the week, rather than like rankings game of the week. Want to see if Victor Cabalas is like the real deal. Like he's, at least for completion's sake, that just went away. He is 100 for 161. He's got 1,400 yards, and he has a 16 touchdowns to 1 interception. Like, literally, he is 16 to 1 for his ratio on the year. Just an absolute crazy leader this year. Trey Page the third. Want to put him out there as just like a crazy running back as well. Dude's only 5'9", 180, but he is a crazy true freshman. Like, if this guy stays at Tarleton, they're going to be a better team for it. But he's got 112 carries for 839 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, Tarleton's just such a good team. But, across the board, Abilene Christian has a very deep team. It's not as talented, but I feel like their depth is respectable. They got Stone Earl at quarterback. He's not having as great a year as Victor Gabalis, but like anytime your guy's first name is Stone, that's pretty baller. Looks like we did lose Chris, so I'll keep on going with this until he comes back or until I get a text from him. But Jordan Vaughn, senior running back, he's doing a great job this year. 71 carries for 416 yards and 4 touchdowns. Overall, like, I feel like this is a very interesting matchup that really puts Tarleton on the table of, are you a for real team? Southern Utah beat Abilene Christian this past week, 30-24. Tarleton State, for record, beat Southern Utah 52-42. So a lot of like translation you can take across the board. Tarleton State beat West Georgia 45-10. When Abilene Christian played them, it was 30-13. I feel like just matching up and like versus like, this is going to be a great game. I think the UAC is one of the better conferences in the FCS this year. I would put them as a top 5 conference easily. You have Tarleton, you have Abilene Christian, Austin P, West Georgia. All of them have been floating around in the top 25 to some degree, just kind of floating around as interesting UAC teams this year. Looks like we got Chris back, so I just broke down pretty much the entire matchup and the conference, Chris. I'm going to run with Tarleton State, but I feel like this is going to be an interesting game. What do we have for the spread so I can know how tough of a pick it is?
12.5.
Ooh, I'm going to pick Tarleton, but my famous phrase, I don't feel good about it. Abilene Christian, they're pretty sweaty. Like one of the references I went back and forth with is, Abilene Christian beat West Georgia 30-13. They lost to Southern Utah 31-24. In Tarleton's favor, they beat Southern Utah 52-42 and West Georgia 45-10. So comparatively across the board, I feel like this isn't that bad of a matchup schematically. I feel like Abilene Christian is frisky enough to give Tarleton fits. So I feel like they have enough depth on each side of the ball to offer enough fits that even if the second string's in there, it's still going to be something that they're going to have quality players against them. 12.5 is rough. I'm still going to roll with Tarleton, but I feel like this could be a 10-point game easily.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Abilene because I feel like it's just their ceiling's high and their floor is low. So I think if they have a high ceiling game, this could very easily be a 7. I could see Abilene winning, honestly. Like, I think Tarleton's the better team, but I could see Abilene winning, just with how football works from time to time. So yeah, I'll go with Abilene, and that'll make it a little interesting. We agreed on most, but we have a couple.
Looks like we lost Chris as well. He's going to go with Abilene Christian. I think he would echo that this is an interesting game in the sense of Abilene Christian has not given up in any of their games. So Chris is going to go that they cover the 12.5. I wouldn't pick Abilene to win against Tarleton, but Chris might. So we're going to look at that, and we'll get his official pick on the spreadsheet right here, right now. But what you can do in the meantime is you can go down to our wonderful friends at Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue, where you can get premium all beef hot dogs with whatever kind of toppings you want on there. Great toppings. I suggest the Chicago dog. Very tasty. Very good. if you're going for barbecue. I think the trio sliders. That's always a winner. That's always a little bit of everything. Give your friend a bite, give your wife a bite, get some good sides to go with it. And then if you're a beer connoisseur or a whiskey connoisseur, they have a self-tap beer wall. It's just like Dave and Buster's. You get a little card, you go, you tap the ounces you want. You can even just try a couple ounces. Be like, I like that crab sheet one, or I think I'm gonna go with that other one over there. And then the smoked whiskey, crazy. They do this great infusion where they burn off the smoke into the whiskey. Tastes like campfire, but it also has its own distinct taste. So just like Chris is coming in here, you all should come into Crave Hot Dog and Barbecue.
Be the pro, Ben.
Try the all beef hot dogs. Try the barbecue. Try the self-tap beer wall. Try the smoked whiskey. It'll change your life if you love campfire.
All right. Well, I think the internet gods are telling us that this is a sign to wrap up, because now I'm getting the reconnecting again. So I will stop there. So as always, if you like what we're doing, please like, comment, subscribe, review. If you, all right, yeah, buddy. Can you hear me now at all?
All right. Just like Chris is trying to say, everybody like, comment, subscribe.
Thank you.
Have your mom like it. Have your mom's friend like it. Have your grandma like it. We haven't gotten the grandparents involved, Chris. Get your grandparents involved.
Untapped market.
Your uncles, your aunts, your cousins. However else you want to relate to people, go ahead and do that. Likes, comments, subscribe, share, set reminders, set alerts, set calendar alerts for the whole family to check in and check out Crave Barbecue as well. Also, complaints department right here. Dukes up. Let's go. Everybody enjoy your week. And as always, Chris Bolin and I, signing off.